This is Charm City Decoded. I am your host, Sophina Turner, and I welcome you all back to a new episode. This is episode number 32 that I'm uploading to YouTube. And I'm going to be talking about leadership. What is leadership? Now, the definition of leadership they stated is the action of leading a group of people or an organization. So that's what they say leadership is. There's a lot of folks out here who want to play in those roles or who actually are taking those roles very serious. We have the President of the United States, Mr. Joseph Biden. We have the Vice President of the United States, Ms. Kamala Harris. We have the Congress, House of Representatives. We have the Senate, senators in the Senate. We have the Supreme Court justices. We have CEOs of different corporations as well as their executive officers. We have, even at a smaller scale, supervisors that's working at maybe say your job or my job. And some are doing okay, others leave space for improvement. But honestly, no one is without fault. We all make our mistakes. So there are always going to be room for growth when it comes down to being a leader, in my opinion. I've worked in those capacities, throughout my little career. um, and so I felt that the best way to be a leader, in my opinion, is when you're communicating properly, you leave open for any suggestions, you are remaining consistent in your actions, you understand that there is a human factor when you're dealing with people, things can happen. Yes, you will make mistakes, but never ever think that you're perfect, that you can do no wrong. You got to hold yourself accountable. And then if you have to hand out a discipline, by all means do so. You got to hold people accountable for their actions. So I think that, let's look at this past midterm election we just had. And I'm going to specifically look at the candidates that ran in Georgia for the Senate seat. We have a Mr. Herschel Walker. Now, I know he's an NFL star. He has won the Heisman Trophy when he was in college. But his dialogue leaves room for improvement. He was conscious about focusing on vampires versus werewolves instead of actual real life topics, meaning the housing program. How can you improve housing and homelessness? How can you improve, education, education reform, prison reform? How can we improve making the job market more plentiful for others where there's less unemployment? It's just so many other ways, that he could have communicated better when it comes down to different topics and what people really have an interest in. what their focus is on, how to improve their lives. That's important. So you talking about vampires versus werewolves, that wasn't the way to go, man. Not in my opinion, anyway. You should have came different, baby. That's just how I feel about it. Now we talking about his opponent, Mr. Raphael Warnock. I think he was definitely in tune to what people want to hear about. He was well informed when it come down to topics and how what he has done thus far since he's been in the Senate for 2 years, as well as what he wants to continue to do and make better for the community of Georgia, as well as even for our country as a whole. So I, to me, think that was a better candidate, in my opinion. Um, so I'm glad that he won. So congratulations to Mr. Raphael Warnock. Now we supposed to have 51 to 49. So let's see how things go with that, because now we have another person who's in leadership, and her name is Miss Kirsten Sinema. She was a Democrat. Now she has transitioned over into becoming an independent. What does that mean? I don't know, because I know over the past couple years she has assisted in blocking certain reforms and things that the Democrats wanted to change and help make better when it comes down to our country. So I don't know, with her becoming independent, what's that's going to do, what's that's going to change as far as that 51 to 49 vote. We will definitely see when it comes down to that. And I'm going to move on to Mr. Clarence Thomas. Mr. Clarence Thomas is currently one of the senior Supreme Court justices. And Mr. Lawrence Tribe, who is a Harvard law professor, he was on MSNBC, and he stated that Mr. Thomas, he violated a law in plain view. It was two provisions, and one of those provisions is impartiality. A Supreme Court justice is not supposed to be impartial. They supposedly only stick with laws when it comes down to what's written in the Constitution. And the second one is if the justice spouse has an interest in a topic or a case, then the justice must recuse themselves from that case. And of course, Mr. Thomas did not. And the case specific I'm talking about is independent state legislature theory that was before the court. And his wife, Miss Jenny Thomas, had an interest in it. And to me, that means he's biased in his opinion when he make a decision. It's not based on impartiality, and that's what it's supposed to be when it comes down to all the justices. So, that, of course, that's making us, or me rather, wonder if what's going on here. Should we trust the Supreme Court anymore? I mean, we know that it's a 6-3 sway more toward conservatives, and I don't think that's good, because look what happened with Roe versus Wade. So we heading into tumultuous territories when it comes down to people in leadership. And I think we really got to stick together with voting the right people in and getting those wrong ones out. I think that's important. So I think we definitely need to focus. We got to have that laser focus when it comes down to us really making sure we put the right candidates in these leadership roles, who's representing us when it comes down to this country And that's important. Please remember that's very important. And again, the Gen Z generation, thank you for your participation in this midterm election. I hope it continues um, for every other election that's going to come about in near future. So that leads me to Deion Sanders. Now, Deion Sanders he's moving on. He's leaving Jackson University, that's down in Georgia, and I believe he's going to Colorado, up to Colorado, I believe. And I know a lot of folks is up in arms, upset, feel like he's abandoning, those, uh, the HBCU students and staff and the team, football team, um, you have a right to live the life that he chooses to live for himself. He's been at Jackson University for 3 years, and he has made so many improvements when it comes down to the betterment of the football team, the betterment of the school. He's brought some funds into, specifically to help. Donations has improved when it comes down to the school and locker room. The locker room, from my understanding, has been improved, and just him being there and the atmosphere that he has illuminated, being there and instituted into the elements of that school has vastly improved along for the last 3 years, and even the media has focused in on them where they uplifting them in some ways because I know they have won a lot of games, and I don't think they lost any from my understanding. I'm not sure, but don't quote me on that. But I think they had more wins, if anything, than losses. But and he's going to PWI. He states in his interviews, that it's about all the students. He said he can't get away from his blackness. He's born and bred that. That's just who he is. And he's not trying to. But his focus is for all, not just for a few or just for black students. And he have a right. He have a right to that. So I just want everyone to understand leadership is very important. That's just like you being a parent. You're in a leadership position. You are your children's first everything. Your thoughts, your values, your beliefs, how you choose to live your life, how you choose to handle any problems or concerns that come about. And, your children are looking at your leadership in their life. And that's important. So I think I place a lot of value on leadership because you are leading. You're leading people, and hopefully you're leading them down the right path and not the wrong. You're giving them hope. You're showing them that there are other ways to improve themselves. You're enlightening them about anything that needs specific, interest, that specific, just not understanding on certain issues and concerns. You're there to hopefully open up their mind where they can receive more info for them to do self-evaluations on themselves to improve themselves. So that's why I want to talk about leadership. That's why I'm focusing on leadership for this particular episode. Because there's a lot of things that's going on out here in the world. And, we don't want to. I'm just thinking about I'm going to bring in the topic of talking about what happened to Miss Atatiana Jefferson. I don't know if you know the story. It happened about 3 years ago, back in, I think, in 2019. Miss Atatiana Jefferson was babysitting her nephew, who was then about 8 years old, and they was playing video games together in her bedroom one night, one late morning, and and the police shot and killed her through her window, her bedroom window, and all she was doing was in there playing video games with her nephew. And when she heard a noise outside her bedroom window, she went to grab her gun that was in her purse, which she had a right to protect herself and her nephew in her home. And she was peeking out the window to see if she can see who's out there, where that noise was coming from. At first, she thought it was a raccoon, from what her nephew stated. Her nephew Zion. Zion Carr is his name. He's now 11 years old, and he testified on the stand very recently about this. So when she went to look and peek, and she was bent down, not pointing at her gun, just trying to see what's going on out there, is when she got shot by the police officer, who did not announce himself. And even his partner on the witness stand stated that, I didn't hear him announce who he was, and I didn't see a gun. Meaning she didn't point it at anyone. She was just trying to see what was going on out there. But she grabbed it for just in case. So he was in a leadership position, this police officer. I can't remember his name. But he was just convicted, found guilty of manslaughter, not murder. And I know they're supposed to have sentenced him where he can get up to 20 years. But this is an officer who abused his power and his position. He went on the assumption, he had preconceived notions because the neighborhood that they lived in, and that, that all these folks out here are up to no good. This woman was studying. She already graduated with her bachelor's degree from college. She was working on her becoming a doctor. Her family are professionals. Now, you can't have preconceived notions and ideas about people. You got to treat people accordingly. Take them for who they are. Accept them for who they are. So that's why I wanted to talk about leadership today. And we all have to stop with our preconceived notions. We all have to stop with our judgmental, mentality of thinking that we wouldn't have done it this way, or we wouldn't have done it that way, or they wrong, or they right. You accept people for who they are. And we all have a role to play. And you need to be a leader of yourself. And be open to receive any help if you need it. So you can grow and become mature. And then you can also assist and help the next one that's coming up behind you. So that's why I wanted to talk about leadership today. I'm glad that they found this police officer guilty because he was wrong. Now this woman's life is gone. And then it's sad that her mom passed away 3 months after she was shot and killed. So this young man who was in the care of his aunt at the time lost his auntie and his grandmother, all within months at the age of 8 years old, because his biological mom, she was sick at the time. That's why he was living with his grandmother and his auntie, who was taking great care of him. And then that she was shot and killed in front of his eyes. So my heart goes out to the Carr family, to the Jefferson family. They really do. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about leadership. So let's all play our leading roles in our life the way we should. This is Charm City Decoded. I am your host, Sophina Turner, and I will hope to talk to you soon. Y'all have a great Sunday.